Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Harvest League 3.11. In this episode, I'm going to be going over my Herald of Thunder build. So I've made my adaptations. I'm happy with where it's at. It is what it is, and I will tell you guys the pros and cons, why you should play it and why you shouldn't play it. You definitely shouldn't play it, but it's cool, and so I'll tell you why, and I'll go through it, and then basically tell you one of the biggest problems so that possibly people can focus on that problem, therefore there's potential for it to be improved upon, but I won't. I don't like the core mechanic of the ring. So either way, let's get into it. So this build is a Herald of Thunder, pure Herald of Thunder build basically. So imagine we use Herald of Thunder and we're using these Storm Secret rings, and so if you were to look up this build, it would be like trying to look at Herald of Thunder, Storm Secret, and this small cluster called Calamitous Vision small cluster with adds Lone Messenger, and the Lone Messenger gives you can only have one Herald, 50% more effective Herald buffs on you, 100% more damage with hits from Herald skills, 50% more damage over time with Herald skills. Minions from Herald skills deal 25% more damage. Your aura skills are disabled. So this makes it you can't use auras, and you only use your Herald and this one Herald, and you focus on Herald of Thunder. And so so the point of the build, Herald of Thunder, and then we use Storm Secrets to actually make it good, because the way Herald of Thunder works is it can't inflict shock, so it can't trigger itself. Storm hits an enemy every 0.25 seconds, so the 0.25 seconds hitting an enemy, it's really fast. Creates a storm when you kill a shocked enemy is a problem, because having to kill an enemy that's shocked, and I told you this doesn't shock, so how do you create a storm? So then buff grants increased spell damage and added lightning damage, which doesn't affect the Herald of Thunder, by the way, because it's not a spell or an attack, but the increased lightning damage should work. So then this lightning damage for spells applies to your other spells like Stormbrand, Orb of Storms, and the ones in our cast from damage taken setup. But so having to kill a shocked enemy sucks. So then we were like, y'all, these Storm Secret new ring, dude. Herald of Thunder also creates a storm when you shock an enemy. How can we shock an enemy? The Herald of Thunder doesn't shock. So we have to shock an enemy with Shock Nova or Wave of Conviction, and then we can trigger our Herald of Thunder off that by shocking an enemy, and then we get a storm, and it's super fast. Its frequency is crazy, 100% increased frequency, and then we also take 500 lightning damage when a Herald of Thunder hits an enemy. So then the 500 lightning damage we take triggers our level 1 cast from damage taken setup to trigger this Wave of Conviction, Shock Nova, and Cold Snap to provide chilling, and Shock Nova for the shock and the lightning damage, and the healing and the Wave of Conviction for the exposing lightning damage, because it's 25% less elemental res for lightning because it's the highest damage. So we're using Herald of Thunder. Then we went Shadow Assassin, and so the main focus here is that we wanted to go this Ascendancy for power charges, because we're going this lightning and we're going to go crit, and it just makes sense to do all this. So we went power charges on crit and non-crit. You get power charges, so you get max power charges, and you get your crit multi and crit chance and move speed and ambush and assassinate, big crits and culling strike, and get your Mistwalker, no extra damage from crits while elusive, and 8% reduced damage taken while elusive, and 50% chance to gain elusive on crit. Insane. Elusive. Always up, right? Insane when you're critting. So we went Assassin, super reliable, super cool for power charges. So then, since we were going power charges and all this, we went increased crit strike chance, power charge on crit. We're just all power charges. We took all 3 power charge clusters spots on the skill tree. We just went full crit. Awakened Ellie focus, because you can't inflict shock with the Herald of Thunder anyway, so might as well get more LE damage. Added lightning damage was one of the best, and lightning pen was one of the best. And then because we're a power charge build where we have 9 power charges, so we get the 3 from the skill tree, another 1 from here, we get minimum from here, we have all this extra amplification per power charge from this stuff. Power charge scaling is pretty cool. It's actually really cool to see this. And then we also, like I said, have the power charge from this. And then, so we have 9, and then I run Badge of the Brotherhood, and that gets it so your maximum frenzy charges is equal to your maximum power charges. So you immediately have, instead of 3 frenzy charges, you can get 9, which is just silly, by the way. So how do you get those? We get 10% chance to gain a frenzy charge on hit. From the chestplate, it's a Redeemer mod. And then we also went for this Cold Snap, 25% chance to gain a frenzy charge when an enemy dies while in this skill's area, so that's a thing too. Not sure, I don't feel like this is very reliable, but the on hit thing, 20 hits, 2 frenzy charges, it works. I've mentioned it in bosses, it's not very good. It's not enough to get the frenzy charges up, so this is not a boss killer because you can't keep the frenzy charges up, but in a 5-way legion or like in crazy encounters, you'll have your frenzy charges up. Like delving, it would work. You can actually pump out some deeps, but then I mentioned it's going to be proximity shields and killing yourself to big packs because you're hurting yourself, and then elemental res and not doing enough damage to leech enough or whatever, or the monster's not dying, and if you can't do enough, because then they can get reduced crit and LE res and just all this mitigation where they can get really tanky in some nodes and delve to where our damage isn't high enough and we're doing a lot to ourselves, and it's already such a pain in the ass to run this build where I would rather do other builds. Yeah, this is just not a build. I've dumped everything into it and it's not a build. So anyways, so basically what I'm saying is that I've played this build so you guys don't have to. There's better builds than this. This is interesting. I've pretty much done what I can to it, and I can't do much better. I've pretty much gone over the build like basics so that you understand that you understand way more than you did coming in, I hope. So I'll run over it again just real quick. Herald of Thunder, shock with this ring, getting a storm, doing damage. The Herald of Thunder hits, you take damage, you automatically trigger your cast from damage taken. You do this. You can, instead of this glove, you could run Algor Mortis, and you could do the old build that I had, which is I ran, so it was Doriani and it was a hybrid energy shield like life. I'll leave the hybrid Herald of Thunder meta build that I started with, and then I'll put the new one that I made as well. And so the concept is I did Divine Flesh instead, so no energy shield, and instead we're using Zabakwa, and we have the 85 chaos res just like my summoner build, and we have the half of LE gets taken against the chaos, so half of the lightning damage is going against the chaos res 85, which is pretty cool. And then I feel like mitigation is worse in this build though, and you would rather have a big pool like I had, and that's why I hate this build in general. It's like really bad feeling. Like I don't like just going for a big pool and having 0 mitigation, getting hit gigantic hits, and then when you lose max stuff, it's like super bad, and all the proc shield, and oh my god. So anyways, very important part that I just realized at this point in the video is that I didn't mention that, so you're dealing damage to yourself when you hit an enemy with the Herald of Thunder, and so the way we actually sustain this, so I just mentioned this is how we have the combo work, but I didn't mention how you actually have it work and feel good. So you run this ring, and it makes your Herald of Thunder work, and you deal lightning damage. And so with the shocks and the attacks from the Herald of Thunder, we're using Doriani's Lesson, 1 point on our Cluster Jewel, to get 0.2% of elemental damage leached as life. So then this is making it so we're actually healing and leeching life to recover from the damage we're dealing to ourselves, and obviously the enemy hitting us. So that's how that works. So then I'll mention that if you come into a pack, now there's a few problems. Proximity shields, you don't deal any damage, but you still take the damage, the lightning damage, for hitting an enemy with Herald of Thunder, because it's silly and it doesn't care. So and when they have a proc shield, you don't deal any damage, so you don't leech, so you kill yourself. And then in a really big pack of proc shield, you just kill yourself, like you actually just die instantly, and it's really funny. So I was wondering why I was dying. I figured it out finally through testing. I just ran into packs and wow, look at that. So then I tried running. I fight a boss and it phases, and you hit it with the lightning damage from the Herald of Thunder, and you take damage and you don't heal because the boss can't take any damage. But yeah, so it feels terrible in so many instances. Proc shield, boss phasing. There's even beasts. There's the monster that gets an aura that allows its nearby allies to not die. They survive at 0 health, and they can't take any damage until you kill the one monster that's keeping them all alive. And so Herald of Thunder doesn't focus very well. It just hits the whole pack and kills you. It's amazing. And so you have to get like lucky RNG that it hits the fucking one that's tankier than everything else. So of course it's going to be the last alive, and everything's going to be at 0, making you die. Yeah. So there's so many issues with this build to where I don't recommend playing it, because the whole entire concept is this ring hurting you and acting like it's a good thing, but it's truly not. It kills you. It feels terrible. I don't like it. You would need like a cast on death, honestly, cast on death portal. So either way, let's go through the rest of the build real quick. So the concept, Herald of Thunder, we run Lone Messenger, can't run any auras, can only run Herald of Thunder. We get Super Herald of Thunder. So when it works, it's great. Like I showed the 5-way Legion, when you don't have proximity shields, when you don't have the those auras of nearby allies not dying and phasing and all that shit of like bosses. The only one that I can come to mind is that one that does the attack where he goes immune and can't take any damage. I actually did have problems with him, so I'm not surprised. This Leech build where I have no recovery, and I literally, like, the mechanics of how I recover is just so bad, because I kill myself while hitting, and if I don't do any damage to Leech, then it just die. So now I will call it here and say, let's now just go through the build, because this is enough of just talking about it. I'm just gonna go through. This is where I start doing the build guides, because it's the only way. I just have to go and start it. So skills. Let's start with Herald of Thunder. I went with Herald of Thunder with power charge on crit, because we're a power charge build, crit build. Increased crit strike chance, support, so 110% and 2% base. Awakened LE focus for more LE damage, because you can't shock anyways with Herald of Thunder, so it's just a 74% more, or 54% with the 20% increase, sorry. Awakened Lightning Pen, PogChamp. Awakened added lightning damage. Easy. Gets an extra level for the Herald of Thunder. We have a 27. It's pretty cool. So then the weapon, I use my Stormbrand. We have a Stormbrand 2120. This is to help me kill bosses, single target damage. I didn't understand at first, but yeah, you just drop 1 or 2 of these on a boss, and then if you can take, I'm only 95, so you can take this Runebinder for 4 points, and it doubles your Stormbrand damage on bosses. So instead of 2 million, it's 4 million in my build, which is good, and that's 14 zaps a second or so. I don't know, it's silly damage. So Stormbrand with Awakened Lightning Pen for bosses. Swiftbrand, because look at this, less attached duration, 40% less detached duration, 5% increased activation frequency, 64% more activation frequency damage. Arcane Surge, we got Concentrated Effect for more area damage, less area effect, increased area damage, and Controlled Destruction. So reduced crit, but it deals big damage. Maybe I... Wow, wait, did I troll my own thing? No, probably not. So then, that's my Stormbrand. This is my movement setup. I use Withering Step 2020, Second Wind, and Flame Dash. So I don't use increased duration with the Withering Step. And it's kind of cool because of the synergies in this build with this, with Withering Step. And I use a phasing pot anyways, so it doesn't matter. I don't need phasing from Withering Step. And then I separated Arctic Armor because when you link it with Second Wind, it increases the cost from 25 to 31. So it's really weird. The Herald of Thunder build, we can't run auras, but we can run Arctic Armor because it's a spell duration cold. And so this gives you 13% less physical damage taken, which is good in our build because we have barely any, and less fire damage taken. And it also leaves down a chilling ground, and the chilling ground makes it so the enemy has reduced attack speed, action speed, and you can run like I don't know if I mentioned it yet, Algor Mortis, and when the enemy is in chilling areas, that you have a 30% chance to sap them, which sapping is hitting them with lightning damage, and it makes them deal up to 20% reduced damage because they're sapped, and it's only from a big lightning hit. And then enemies in your chilled area take 35% increased lightning damage and increased effective non-damaging ailments. So this is just a crazy glove in the build, but I wanted to cap my chaos resistance for a Zabakwa and have fun with chaos res in the build because it felt really bad without it, and it's kind of crazy how much damage I can do without the Algor Mortis. And so I still run the Arctic Armor even without the Algor Mortis, but it's an option to run Algor Mortis instead. But anyways, Arctic Armor. And then in here I run the Caster Damage Taken setup. So Caster Damage Taken level 1 is important. Keep it 1 so it triggers off of only 528 damage, which you're doing to yourself with the Lightning Rings. You get a Cold Snap, which is more chilling, by the way, and it also can grant Frenzy Charges for enemies you slay in the area, which can help you for getting the 9 Frenzy Charges that you need for the Badge of the Brotherhood synergy with your 9 Power Charges. Then we have Shock Nova for getting a shock and increased effective shock and chance to shocking and shock duration to get the Storm for the Herald of Thunder. And then we have the Wave of Conviction to get the exposure to lightning with the extra lightning to maybe shock 2, because maybe we could shock twice. That'd be pretty cool. Then we have Assassin's Mark, Orb of Storms, Conductivity, Awaken Curse on hit. So what I have here is Orb of Storms. I use this to trigger the Awaken Curse on hit, which is a level 5, so I get an extra curse. So I get Conductivity and Assassin's Mark. Clearly more crit damage, etc. Conductivity, more lightning and all that. And curses are OP, and Orb of Storms hits really well. Just put it down, and it's really nice. It puts it down right in front of you always. So that's all my skills for the build. And so this is how I curse. This is how I single target. So curse, single target, boom, big damage. They're dead. Pop all the flasks. This shit auto activates. This is just running and auto armor. Okay, so then I'll go through my items. So I went ahead. Actually, I'll go skill tree. So what we did is I min-maxed my skill tree a bit. There's a lot of shit going on here. So come out, and what I'm thinking is the main objectives are power charges, crit, life, jewel sockets, and cluster jewels. So what I did is literally figured out, okay, well, it's obvious, power charge, power charge, power charge. You have to get those 3, and I want this power charge, and then we're right here, so this jewel socket confirmed. Automatic, this is the jewel cluster we take for sure. And we want this power charge, and we path through this because life, and this is a 4-point jewel socket that gets us Sabakwa Divine Flush. It's pretty cool. There's crit chance here, crit multi here, and crit chance. There's a bunch of stuff. There's more crit chance if I wanted it, but we're at like a 98% in the current setup. So what I also did is with the jewel clusters, I went through the larges and I figured out that there's only 6 mods that I want. So Corrosive Elements, Doriani's Lesson, Thunderstruck, the Overshock, Prismatic Heart, and Widespread Destruction. So I'll go through them in importance. So Overshock is OP, gets you up to 60% shock and increased effective shock, and Okay, then also we had Doriani's Lesson for the Leech. We need it, or we can't Leech. And the other one, Corrosive Elements. If you run this, you get 25% chance to apply lightning exposure, which is the lightning exposure that you get from the Wave of Conviction, so that our normal lightning skills could apply it without needing to rely on Wave of Conviction. Oh, what the heck? That's pretty OP. You say it the other way around too. Oh, you don't need this because you have that. But then maybe you get an extra cast from damage taken ability if you don't want to run it. And then you get the corrosive elements from here. So then the extra ones are Thunderstruck, which gives knockback to your lightning, which is pretty cool, and increased crit. It's the best damage of these other nodes. We have Area of Effect, which is 1 extra range on the Herald of Thunder. And we have this LE res and LE damage. It's pretty cool. Prismatic Heart, so widespread destruction, and Prismatic Heart. We used 4 mediums, but one of them is a Megalomaniac, and so the crazy OP plus point on a medium is self-fulfilling prophecy in this build, because it's increased crit chance of Herald skills. We're a Herald build only. And so increased crit chance of them, crit multi if you dealt a critical strike with a Herald skill. So this, giving base crit, getting 4 of them. I found a Megalomaniac with these 3 points. It's Surging Vitality, which is the small that I want in the build. And I also got Titanic Swings, which gives me increased area of effect and damage, because I have a staff. So it's an insane Megalomaniac that I got for pretty cheap, and it's exactly the medium that I would want too, so it saves points of getting a small. It's crazy. So then, yeah, every other medium is this self-fulfilling prophecy with an empowered envoy. So it's pretty cool. Then I run a Surging Vitality for the extra regen and life. We run a Enduring Composure because we found out that Enduring Composure with this lightning damage, whenever your Herald of Thunder triggers, you get hit for damage, so it triggers the Enduring Composure. So you pretty much have permanent endurance charges, which we could be running Immortal Call instead of the Wave of Conviction, but I wasn't sure if I liked it. I was testing back and forth if I liked it or not. We're figuring it out. Maybe that's like the last thing to be able to let me tank a bunch of monsters in 1.3 seconds. Maybe it's the last element, I have a billion damage, now I just need a tank for the 1.4 seconds or whatever that I get from a Mortal Call. Even if it has downtime of 3, it's like a kill big amount of pack, and then hopefully that's enough. So those are all my clusters. This was my tree decisions. It's like life, strength, and life, and chaos res, and life, and life, and life. Just really well made all around. I'm really happy. Some small stuff is I'm only 95, so I could gain some levels, like I said, to get the extra rune binder here, 4 points. You get the extra points into life, or you could have life here. You could path through here to get the increased crit strike chance in this stuff and area of effect instead of this 20 int. Slightly more. You have Constitution, my Anoint. So I've gone through the skill tree, I've gone through my large clusters, and I've gone through my mediums, and I've gone through my smalls. Okay, we could also be running, because we're a Zabakwa, we went as Zabakwa, Glorious Vanity, Timeless Jewel, same as my other builds. We have the Divine Flesh, so we have 85 Chaos Res and half of the LE taken as Chaos. So it's pretty cool. We could raise our max Chaos using one of the small clusters that gives you 3% max Chaos Res. I don't remember what it's called. My bad. That's probably good enough to help people go it. And then my jewels in this build are crit multi, crit multi, crit multi with increased max life. And so it's big damage, and I have multiple of them. Let me show you. Multiple of these. It's hilarious how good they are. A lot of damage, and then I built around them, so it's really cool. And yeah, that's my and I use this Unnatural Instinct over here for all of this effect. It's kind of insane how much this gives of things that are significant for our build. Kind of OP if you had to ask me. So that is our skill tree and all my jewels on the skill tree, I believe. I explained everything. Perfect. And now the items. This shit's pretty crazy. So this is a Headhunter build with Storm Secrets and a Badger Brotherhood, and I told you that I have up to 9 Frenzy Charges, and I get the 10% chance to gain a Frenzy Charge on hit, and the Frenzy Charges can also come from Cold Snap, from killing an enemy that's in this area of effect of the Cold Snap. So yeah, we get the Frenzy Charges from the chest plate, and we use an Explodey chest plate. I'm going to mention the most important things. Explodey chest plate, Frenzy Charge on hit. We have the Tailwind from boots with the crit strike chance. The helmet is a maximum power charge. That's how we get to 9. And then we also get one from the weapon too. The weapon is insane. The weapon was 155x. It's +2 all spell skill gems, +3 all lightning spell skill gems, +1 to maximum power charges, 26% of lightning damage is extra chaos damage, 17% increased damage per power charge, 10% chance to deal double damage. Disgusting. Mirror tier. It's ridiculous. It's amazing. I tried to craft this myself. You guys might have seen the last video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the staff. If you want to know how to craft it, I'll make a video on it. Just keep asking, guys. Don't worry. Just keep showing you want it, and I'll make it because it's worth it. As long as it's worth it to make the video, as long as people want to see it, you know, I'll make the video. It doesn't matter to me. It's just one more thing, and it's like, oh, cool. More people want to watch shit I make. Awesome. So this is the helmet. Like I told you, priority was maximum power charges, but then I went for life, cold res, chaos res, and it's only an item level 76, so I couldn't get higher chaos res. I messed up, and then I crafted chaos and fire. I was just capping my reses and my chaos res and getting life. As you can tell, I'm pretty boring when it comes to items. Like, look at this: life, lightning res, chaos res, cold and lightning, and some extra lightning and with crit. It just makes sense. It's like boring, easy stuff. Move speed, life, tailwind was the cool one, chaos res, fire res, and then cannot be frozen because we're not elementalists, so we can be frozen again. And I told you we use these, and we use this for the synergy with the frenzy charges. Our chest plate, we don't actually need this reduced crit because we're elusive, and we don't take extra crit while we're elusive, so we don't actually need the corruption on this. I just bought it like this. Okay, so the base is for Explodey, and 10% chance to gain a frenzy charge on hit, and then there was life, fire res, cold res, and maximum life as extra maximum energy shield, because we were a hybrid build using Doriani's Glorious Vanity instead, where it's like half of damage goes against, half of damage bypasses energy shield, but then you gain like 10% of life as energy shield. So we had like tons of free energy shield just for like couple things in the build. So it's also pretty OP to go hybrid. I feel they're also laughing and like, lol, that's so broken, because it's actually really powerful. Doriani's is really cool after trying it, I guess, in hindsight. And then so that's my chest plate, and those are my items. And then I went a Headhunter, and you would ask, is the Headhunter required? And I would say that we're using it for strength dex in the build, but I took this 1 extra point of dex so I could switch the belt, and then we still need strength from the belt, and this is just a life strength belt. And the reason we use it is because this is generally a Legion mapping character is what I was using it for. It seems that bossing is terrible because you won't be able to get your frenzy charges up, so this Badge of the Brotherhood combo is terrible, so you would rather a different amulet if you were fighting bosses purely, probably, because there's just, unless you could more reliably get your frenzy charges to 9 instantly, that would be cool. But either way, Headhunter's sick for killing rare monsters and getting buffs and going really fast and going crazy through maps and getting use of the buffs to go, yeah. Other alternative, this belt. So 4292 life, I wear this belt. This is my 4550 boss killing belt, because why would you use a Headhunter against a boss? So we get the strength, we still have the dex from the skill tree like I pointed out, 96 life, 10% increased life, 48 fire, and 35 chaos is extra because we don't have any res and we're already balanced, so this is just garbage. And then gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike. That's pretty cool, right? And then we have Hypnotic Eye Jewel, 30 life, cold damage to spells is irrelevant, don't worry. We have 10 to crit strike multi if you've killed recently, and 3% chance to hinder on hit with spells. So all of these spells, except for Herald of Thunder, trigger hinder, and it's 30% reduced move speed, which is pretty cool. So this was the side thing. That's the side belt that I put on when I don't want to wear the Headhunter for bossing. And then potentially you could also, if you want, you can swap out the Diamond Flask if you don't have crit reduction and your crit's really high, like I've done with the extra crit and crit. I'm like really high on crit now. I can wear a Curse Immune Mana Flask, and the reason you'd ask, why would you do that? In this build, so I'm going over the flask now. In this build I use Stormbrand, and if you notice it costs a lot of mana, 87, and I used all my mana, so if I do this Mana Flask, look. How many seconds is that of 4.9 seconds of going crazy with Stormbrand if I want to, throwing it everywhere I want. I could play active if I want to. That's kind of cool. And I'm immune to curses for 5 seconds times 5. 25 seconds of curse immunity, 25 seconds of spamming my abilities and not worrying about mana. That's kind of nice. Instead of the Diamond Flask where I already have 98, 99% crit chance. The other thing is if you switch out this Diamond Flask, which has my bleed immunity, I have this one instead, which is Quartz Flask bleed immunity with increased duration instead of the curse immune one. And so I still have my phasing, I still have the dodge, all that, and then I get the bleeding immune without, yeah, and I could run the curse immune Mana Flask. So yeah, slightly different variation. Also, I'd like to explain, so yeah, curse immune Mana Flask, super pog. People continue to ask me why, and I'll keep explaining it because it's that good. Quartz Flask, bleed immune, increased duration, phasing because Withering Step isn't reliable. You use it, you go have fun, and then when it runs out, when the Withering Step runs out, wait for it, it doesn't recover, and it has to go on cooldown, and then you can finally use it again. So there's like a duration, a 2.33 second time that you're not phasing, so it's terrible. So you should probably use phase run with increased rate, but who cares? I don't need it for phasing. We're using Quartz Flask for phasing. So then the next thing is bleed immune, and then we have the Wise Oak, which gives all res, and it gives reduced damage taken of the lowest LE, which you could balance them all to be the exact same elemental res. So let's say you had all of them at 75, then they would all get reduced, but I mean like the higher ones. So you see how it's 85, 75, 83? These have to be the same. So let's say all of them 83 or all of them 85 or all of them 75, then it'll work. But right now, what would happen is I would take 10% reduced damage of cold damage, and then I deal, I have the most fire, so I would actually rather craft some fire, less fire. I'd rather match my fire, I guess, on the helmet, like lower the fire to 83, lower the fire to 13 craft, so that I should do that, so it's not misleading in the POB, not because I remembered right now, so I should do it. It's a good example. So you would actually, in this case, prefer 13 fire in my exact case, just for this Wise Oak, so that you get the penetration on lightning and fire. So now my Wise Oak works, so I deal 15% pen. And then I use this Silver Flask to get 3% of mana when I kill, 3% of life on kill, and 60% increased crit strike chance during Flask effect. It's good for more crit and onslaught. This is like using the Silver Flask that I normally use for onslaught, but I also get crit chance. So this is more expensive the more crit chance you get. You could min-max that. And then this is my move speed, increased effect Quicksilver for Pog, move speed. Okay, so that's all the flasks, that's my variations, that's my ball, that's my items, that's all my jewels, that's my skill tree, those are all my decisions, all the power charges, the build variation, I'll even leave, like I said, the link to the original, the original meta hybrid, so that you guys can see where people are and what I did and how different it is, and the damage difference, however you want to see. And then people will want to see it in a bunch of situations, so I will keep it and prep it for stuff. Yes. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed the 5-way Legion that I put out yesterday. It was pretty cool. Okay, final thing I'm going to say is, because we're the Enduring Composure build, and we have the Endurance charges, and we have no use for the Wave of Conviction in this exact version, because I already have the exposure to lightning for free with the corrosive elements, because I did that and it was really smart. then we can run the cast when damage taken Immortal call, which just makes sense because, like I said, when you first run into a pack, that's when you can burst yourself, and so 1.4 seconds of reduced LE damage taken, and then the really big reduced physical damage taken allows you just to run into a pack and not care. Hopefully, this will help a lot. I'm not sure. I really don't know, but I realize now, like, especially, you really don't need, you would especially not need Solaris in this build because you don't take extra crit. It's really crazy. Really crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Really cool. Oh yeah, while I'm looking, I killed my Bandits Pantheons. I was using Lunaris, but it's not even completed, as you can see. I should probably do that. And then the Miner, I was using Abberath for the Burning Ground immune because we don't have regen and Burning Ground is annoying, and I wanted to do some delving, and just Burning Ground is really annoying. Burning Ground is so annoying. We don't need to worry about Chaos because we're 85 because we're Zabakwa in this version. And you could use Gruthkul like always. You could use Risthilith with a life flask if you wanted to. That's an option. It's a good sustain method. You could use Ugle. Nah, there's no point for that. You could do this one to dodge a savage hit. Otherwise, it looks pretty fine just to do. Can you shock yourself? Either way, these are my Pantheons. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys liked the build. If you guys want to see it in more stuff, like I said, just let me know. I'll make more videos of the Herald of Thunder in POG encounters. We've got it to a pretty cool point, but it does have its downsides where it just gets dominated by things that can't die because you kill yourself with the rings and it sucks, and there's nothing you could do other than just kill the monsters, bro. Kill them. Why aren't they dead? That's what's going on there. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope this could be helpful. Hope you guys like the build guide. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank my Patreon and my YouTube members who financially support the channel. I can't do this without you guys. Thank you guys for all the support, and thank you to anyone new who joins the Patreon and the YouTube members today, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!